we should appreciate and respect our police and fire officers, and because they have a tough job. In this city, they're very busy, going up and down Euclid all the time. Only our concerns is the actions of our officers seem to reflect negatively. What I'm saying here is that 1 or 2 officers should not reflect on our police. It should not reflect on our fire, because most of our officers are good officers and are responsible officers. Any negative actions of 1 or 2, and I'm praying, does not reflect on the majority of our police and fire. Okay? The negative actions of 1 or 2 would be dealt with appropriately, but are dealt with at the administrative level. The police and fire serve under the discretion of the mayor and the fire chief and the police chief. Okay? I have a few questions to set up this meeting, and I'm hoping that we stay focused, don't get caught with personalities, that type of thing. I've made it a point to stay away from the media with what transpired over the last couple of weeks in our city. My first point that I like to make is, number 1, I have a few questions that I hope can be answered. Number 1, this is the police. Does your department have policies in place that clearly articulate the officer's responsibilities in a situation where a shooting has taken place? We can start with that. Chief Gardner, did you hear my question?
Councilman Martin, I heard part of it. You're asking if we have policy in place, but I could not understand what the policy you were asking for.
Do we have anything in place that was, and what takes place when a shooting takes place, and to take it even further, especially when someone gets killed? What policies do we have in place that you can speak to, please?
I mean, we actually have 2 separate policies, I believe is what you're asking. We have policies in place for use of force, and we have a separate policy relative to deadly use of force. So yes, if that is your question, yes, we do have policies in place for both of those.
Thank you. My second question is, are our police officers trained to give immediate assistance when a shooting victim takes place? I was there on that day. No. I happened to be riding down the street and saw smoke and pulled down. So my question is, does our police officers, are they trained to give immediate assistance when someone is shot?
No.
Did you hear my question, Chief Gardner?
Yeah. Yes, our officers are trained in CPR and first aid.
Okay, so they're trained, all officers are trained in CPR and first aid, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, why didn't they plug
hold it, you're gonna get a chance. I want to get through these questions, and then I'm gonna open up to my colleague. Are officers equipped with trauma kits that contain items such as tourniquets, bandages, and sterile gloves? Do they have that with them at all times, Chief Gardner?
May have tourniquets.
Some officers may have tourniquets, some may not. I mean, if you're asking about in a specific instance, I do have a PowerPoint presentation available, and I think you'll be able to see why CPR was not utilized by our officers in this specific case. But our officers are trained in it. The tourniquets, some officers do have it, some do not. You do have to have training relative to using tourniquets. That was something that was supposed to be in place for all officers. COVID hit, and so that's something that we're still attempting to catch up on, getting trained and certified with tourniquets.
Thank you. That's why I think it also shows why training is so important. My last question before I yield to my colleagues is there anything that the council can do? Well, I'm not on the negative positive. I'm on us doing something that can help. Is there anything that the council that we can do to help ensure that the department received the necessary training and emergency assistance and on an ongoing basis. Anything that we can do, Chief Gardner, the council, the entire council.
Councilman Martin, the only thing I can ask council to do is to continue to, support our training budget, or our training line item budget. Because I mean, that's obviously something that I have attempted to make paramount is training. So I would very much prefer if council was able to continue supporting us to get it trained. That would be a huge backing for the police department.
Thank you. I yield to my colleagues now. Monty Gowan.
Yeah, I have a couple questions to ask about last week was very disturbing. The training, do y'all train people also with the body camera?
I mean, yes, officers are trained with the body cameras, yes.
Okay, because it was very disturbing to see that the body camera was off at the time when the young guy had got killed. And another one is they trained in CPR?
Yes, the officers actually individually, the manufacturer that we purchase our body cameras through actually give training to the officers on how to utilize it. And again, I can offer my conjecture, but it would just be pure conjecture is what when I observed the video, I think I know what happened, but again, I can't speak for Sergeant McDonald in this instance, but I think it's fairly evident what happened in this specific case.
Because it's very important when somebody is on the ground, somebody should have took CPR classes or gave him CPR, because that would help save lives.
Well,
Just look like
again,
he was just there.
we are not paramedics, and perhaps paramedics have more advanced training. We are taught that if we have a pulse and we have breathing, that we are not to interfere or administer CPR. And in this case, he both had a pulse and was breathing. So by our training guidelines, the officers made the right choice not to perform CPR.
And also, somebody from the fire department, is they here because it took a long time. Oh, we're gonna get to that. Okay, we're gonna get to you next, because how often do you do drug testing on the officers?
Generally when they are hired, and obviously any time that we have any type of suspicion, anytime that they are involved in a shooting or a serious use of force, anytime that they are involved in a car accident. Those are the
Do you how do you feel about random drug tests? Do you
we have performed random drug testing, yes.
How do you feel about random drug testing?
I have no issue whatsoever with a random drug test. Obviously the officer shouldn't be on any type of drugs that aren't prescribed. I have
I'm
no issue
asking you a
whatsoever.
question, how often do you do it? How often do you do it?
Honestly, probably once a year. Again, we have to align with what the union contract states. In most cases, we can do random. There's still cost to these tests, but we probably randomly do a drug test once a year.
Well, once a year is not enough. You have to be on that at all times, especially the way the police officers is handling our citizens and our out here residents.
Again, I have no issue with that, Madam Councilwoman. No officer should be using narcotics. So I have no issue with that whatsoever.
What about weed?
That's a drug.
That's a drug too.
Yeah, I mean, that's in the screening. I mean, it's still prohibited by policy and procedure. Even if it was made legal in the state of Ohio, it would still be prohibited by our policy and procedure.
Okay, what about taking, because a lot of times, a lot of people be taking some kind of drug cleanser. So when they take weed in or all that stuff in, it comes out when the urine be clean. But do you take any strains of hair or something like that? Because a lot of times you can find it in the hair. How often do you do that?
I mean, as far as I know, we do not use that. I mean, we're using the protocol that we actually just signed a new contract, or I don't know, signed a contract. We went into a new agreement with UH to perform our screenings. I mean, we just abide by whatever their policy or their procedure is. I don't think that they actually take any type of strands.
Last but not least, but could you give me the union contract?
Absolutely. There's two contracts. There's one that will say blue, which represents anybody that is non-ranking. And then there is a gold contract that represents everybody through rank up to captain, obviously with the exception of myself, who is no longer in the union.
Why aren't you in the union?
You're director.
By law, the chief of police cannot be in a union.
Thank you.
Chief, are you ready to start your presentation and I'll put it up for you?
Sure.
Okay.
You gonna put it up, Tracy, on the,
Yes, I'm gonna do it now.
and then after that, we're gonna go to Mr. Austin's question. After this
We stay a
presentation.
while and learn how to run a city.
I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay.
All right,
Can you see it?
yeah, we see it now. Come on, man.
All right. Okay, Chief.
Are you able to go to the slideshow?
Yes.
And there's
Yes,
be
I'm gonna
some-
start. I'll start it for you, the slideshow. Okay, from beginning.
Okay. And if you go ahead and advance. So again, Councilman Martin had requested me to have some sort of reporting relative to the incident that occurred. So this is sort of in chronological order of what occurred that we know now. And again, I mean, it's still under investigation, so I may not know everything, but I mean, this is what we know at this point. So officers first observed the vehicle. They were actually stationed at Dynagard, which was located at Hayden and Shaw. They observed a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed. And there's some, Madam Clerk, there's some radio traffic there. Is that playing?
Do you want me to play it again, Chief?
Did play?
Okay,
Okay.
next.
Officers are able to get the plate information. The plate that was on the vehicle came back as JBH 6717. That vehicle actually returns to a 2003 Infiniti, but it was on a Nissan Altima. And again, that's radio traffic.
Could you answer this question for me, please?
So, well, wait a minute, let him finish. Go ahead, let him finish, guys. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead,
I'm gonna play that again.
yes.
Okay.
We good with that, Councilman? Or-
And no interruption until you finish this presentation. Go ahead.
Okay, so around Ida Rose, the vehicle becomes temporarily disabled. It actually went through a front yard. Officers actually thought that the vehicle was going to come to rest, but the vehicle actually quickly takes back off. The vehicle then actually crashed into a fire hydrant near Woodworth, and again, officers assumed that the vehicle was going to stop, but it did not. It continued. Vehicle shortcuts through Marathon gas station lot onto Euclid Avenue there at Euclid and Noble. It then cuts south on Allendale where the vehicle starts to become on fire and all passengers bail. So there's some video. What I'm trying to show you is if you look hard on the video, this is Officer Crozier's body camera. You'll actually see the decedent get out of his vehicle and actually run on top of the police car.
I'm looking, but I'm not seeing it. Are you? We're looking, Chief Gardner. All right.
So the both or all officers essentially, or both officers at that point, are pursuing the decedent down, or south on Allendale. And if you could advance that, Madam Deputy Clerk. Okay, so by accounts, and again, we've already addressed that Sergeant McDonald's camera was not activated at this point. This is actually a picture from from Officer Crozier's body camera, but it's the same fence. So by all accounts, the suspect actually gets somewhat entangled while attempting to get over the fence. And at that point is when he draws a firearm from his belt and points it at officers while making a statement. This is a graphic video, so I warn the public. You're going to see this is Officer Johnson's body camera. Now, what I would like you to take notice on the right side, you're going to actually see a handgun still laying on the ground from the suspect. It's right there by the officer's hand, if you can see, if you go straight across. The officer is attempting right now to render first aid, attempt to find out where the wounds are. So again, I don't know, I was speaking over the video, so I don't know if everybody was hearing. There's a handgun laying right to the right side of where the decedent is lying. Officers were attempting to render first aid. There, they were able to ascertain that he was breathing and had a pulse. Again, the reason the CPR was not performed, at that point, he still had a pulse and was breathing. So this is the part that of the investigation as we went through, because there seems to be a lot of rumors going around about how the decedent borrowed the vehicle, but that is simply not true. Vehicle was reported stolen in Cleveland on October 30th, 2020 from West 65th. Again, on the west side of Cleveland, the owner of the vehicle does not know Vincent Belmonte whatsoever. The same vehicle owner actually later recovered video on her own from a gas station by her residence. And apparently this video, which we are still not in possession of, but are attempting to get, according to the owner of the vehicle, shows Belmonte and a female by the name of Sky Love casing her vehicle hours before it was taken from her residence. Mr. Belmonte actually also had fresh felony charges from the city of Kent, Ohio. He was arrested on 11/21/2020, again for the same thing, improper handling of a firearm and motor vehicle. And according to their detailed police report, he also resisted officers on this time of arrest. So this is pretty much brings us up to where I am or where the investigation is at this point. There actually is a fresh piece of evidence that came in today relative to a gentleman that lives, is he on the west side also?
He was actually on Interstate 77.
He was actually traveling on Interstate 77, and Mr. Belmonte actually fired, I guess they became in some sort of road rage incident, and Mr. Belmonte fired at this gentleman on 77. We just got that information today. Apparently the gentleman reported the incident to Cleveland police.
Okay, Gotti, you have your question, and then we'll go to Austin and any other council person. Go back to Gotti. Any more questions?
Yes, I really have a problem with all this because it looked like y'all trying to make this young man out of a villain.
I'm just trying to show you.
But Gardner, I need to share something with you. The young man had a hoodie on, right? Right?
Yes, it looks like he had.
Why didn't you show the hoodie?
I'm sorry?
Why didn't you show the hoodie? He had a hoodie on, right?
I mean, he has the hoodie. I mean, I think the officer cut the hoodie.
Because I definitely could see the gun print in his hoodie. Because when they flipped the young man over, the gun came out of his hoodie.
I mean, it was actually on. It was already on the ground, ma'am. I mean, you can see. I mean,
when they flipped him over, the gun came out the young man hoodie. You can dress it up and play it back.
I mean, again, all I see is what's. I mean, I'm not sure where you're seeing or where that information is coming from. I don't.
Video back.
Okay. I mean, again, I don't know. We could probably go. You know, you're saying from the video that you just observed.
Yes.
Turn him over and we see the gun. I think that's what she's alluding to.
You first flipped him. You can see the gun in his hoodie. When he fully flipped over, the gun comes out. Play it real slow when you do it. And I would show you and tell you when to pause.
All right, now, if you can, Madam Clerk, if you can, I don't know if you're going to be able to.
As you slowly see the young man on the ground, you is not going to see the gun right away. As he's being flipped, you're going to see the gun fall. His hoodie. And you can see the gun print right in the hoodie as he being flipped.
I mean, I don't see that, ma'am. I mean, the gun's right there, present next to his hand right there.
Go back slowly.
Go back slowly, Tracy, so we can go over this one more time. Go back.
It's
There
there.
go the gun right there. And Tracy, I don't even know what you doing, baby. Look at the print of the hoodie and pause it, Tracy. Because if you flip them all the way, you won't see the print of the hood, the gun in the hood.
All right, let me try and do it slow.
But halfway slow. Stop. The gun
Right
print
there?
is right there. Yeah.
No, I see what you're saying.
Now you see it's no gun on the ground.
I think he's laying on top of it at this point.
His hoodie definitely have a point in it.
I mean, and again, I don't know. I mean, we might be able to go through and
Really
dissect
slow,
this.
Tracy. Keep going really slow. Keep going. Stop. Too fast. There you go.
Okay.
But again, officers observed the gun as soon as they got out. They called it on the radio. So the gun is there now, or
It's not
soon to
there
be.
now. When they flip him all the way over, that gun gonna fall right out of his hoodie. I don't know what y'all cut out or what y'all did, but that's tampering.
I mean, we're trying to render first aid. So I mean, no, I
We can move on. I'm not an investigator, but we're gonna move on.
Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, wait a minute,
And another officer actually said that he saw it in the hoodie.
Austin, do you have any
No.
questions?
No.
Tim Austin, do you have any questions?
You know what? Right now, I'm just kind of listening in, and I guess I'll save my question for the
Okay,
end.
we'll
Thank you.
go to the council president. Go ahead, Kareem Stevenson.
I'm looking at the video and I would like to know why they are flipping this man over. Was he shot in the back? Or what happened? I mean, because looking at the video just raised a lot of questions for me. And the wound that is displayed on his chest, is that an entrance wound or an exit wound?
So the results from the medical examiner actually show that there was a frontal chest shot. There was a shot that came into the right side of the throat. And then the third shot was in the right rear part of the head.
The back of the head?
Right, the right part of the head, right by the, like where your right ear is.
Okay, what is the city's policy on these cameras, these body cameras? And you don't have to answer that right now. If you could send it to me, that would be helpful.
The current policy is anytime that you have interaction with the public or on a call that you activate your body camera.
Is that in writing?
Yes.
Okay.
What happened if you don't?
Right, that's what with the policy, that's a portion of the policy. That's why I'm asking for it in writing. Because there should be a policy that addresses all aspects.
Well, I mean, that's where discipline would come on or come through. It would obviously be progressive discipline if you did not activate your body camera on a call or interaction with public.
Progressive discipline?
And elaborate on that, Chief Gardner. What do you mean by progressive discipline? What happens when someone doesn't have their camera on and they're in violations of the policy? What are the consequences of that, sir?
Well, I mean, again, our internal investigation has nearly just begun. But I mean, again, looking at what happened, it looks like Sergeant McDonald activated his body camera and then shortly thereafter deactivated. And there's a common occurrence that happens. And again, this appears speculating on my part. I'm not trying to speak for Sergeant McDonald, but I mean, there's a common occurrence with our officers and the style of body camera we have, especially when you are in a situation where your adrenaline is going, you're running, you're fighting, you hit the body camera and there's a series of 3 beeps that are emitted. So the only other way to make certain that your body camera is activated is to physically look down and look at the body camera itself to see if a light is going on. And again, when you're running, that's probably not the most advantageous thing to do. So most likely what happened was that Sergeant McDonald activated his body camera. He did not hear the beeps because he was running, and he went to hit it again thinking that he was activating it for the first time. Again, that's speculation.
Gardner, we don't need to hear that part from you. You're gonna have to testify.
I'm running this. Come on. Go ahead. No. Go ahead, Chief Gardner.
I mean, that was pretty much it, Councilman. I mean, again, I'm speculating, but it happens quite frequently with officers, especially when they are involved in any type of fight or interaction with the public where they're fighting or running. They sometimes just do not hear that beep. And they hit the body camera again, thinking they're activating it for the first time, but instead of activating it, it deactivates the recording.
Well, I think after all the investigations, and I know this pending, and the law director says it's still pending situation, the big question, the big call I get is, why did he turn the body camera off? And that's not going to go away, okay? Unfortunately, because this is something that we can't just brush over, because a young man who made a mistake, who made bad choices, was killed. Okay, so if he had his body camera on, if what is being said that he said, we would have had that on the body cam, it wouldn't be an issue. He has a questionable history, but he's a kid. I remember, I'm gonna just be fair about this. When I was 18, I was dumb and stupid, okay? And hard-headed, but you learn over time, okay? So he was too, and he made a bad choice, okay? But when people stop me on the street, Chief Gardner said, why did he turn the body camera off? I said, I don't know why, okay? So as you guys investigated, and the rest with you and Brandon King, you're going to have to make a decision about this situation, period. Okay? I wish no bad for McDonald. I don't care what his history is, okay? But I know that in situations like this situation would be taken care of if he would have kept his body camera on. It would have maybe justified what took place. But
I mean, Councilman, if I may retort, I mean, obviously, I would be elated right now. I mean, not because of the situation, but I would be elated if I had full body camera. Unfortunately, I do not. However, the other evidence, the other officers' body cameras, the other evidence, the statements that were made, I mean, we have purely other evidence that indicates that this male had a firearm.
Okay. He definitely had a firearm, and that's troubling. Okay. So, but you guys, and I'd hate to be in your shoes, Gardner and Brandon King. You're gonna have to make a decision on disciplining or whatever you're going to do, because this is not going to go away. All right, it's not.
And
Counselor
Mr.
Martin, may I be recognized?
Who?
Martin.
Counselor Martin, this is Willis.
Wait 1 second, Willie Hemmons. Wait 1 second. Let me get to the other people on the committee, and you can say whatever you need to say. Is Mr. Austin, do you have anything you need to say before I go to Willie Hemmons?
Well, I guess I could say something as a, consideration, if you will. I've listened to what the chief had to say. I've listened to what thus says the streets. And, when you take a look at some of the information I was able to get today about the, situation and how it started, because, there was some discussion about, the vehicle, which was, it was the perception was that somebody loaned this young man their vehicle. It was not a stolen vehicle. And, things get out of hand because I wouldn't want to be, caught with my firearm either. So I'm running for my freedom, not necessarily for my life, until things take a turn for the worse.
Mr. Martin.
Okay, Corrine, go ahead.
I guess my concern with the body camera is simply this. When an officer gets in the car, that camera should be on when they start their tour of duty. And that camera should stay on for the entire tour of duty, except when they're on breaks and lunch. So if the officer's camera had been on in the vehicle, there would have been no need for him to turn it on or turn it off or guess if it was on or off. It should have been on, period. Thank you.
Hello?
Okay, wait a minute, Austin. Were you not? I'm recognizing Corrine. You had your chance. We'll come back to you. Go ahead, Mr. Stevenson.
I'm done. I just wanted to bring that to the attention that the protocol is that camera is supposed to be on when they come on duty.
Yeah, and I'm hoping when I yield back to Ms. Gotti, all this is taken in consideration, because we would be past this by now, but that's going to always come up, unfortunately. And Corrine is right on point. We brought it up 2 weeks ago about the body cams. We got brand new body cams. So we were really elated by the fact that we see our officers have new body cams, and that when they go out here and deal with all the mess they have to deal with in the street, that they have them on. So that's why you guys got some tough decisions. And let me make an assumption that McDonald's is basically a good officer, okay? But mistakes were made here. So when mistakes are made, there are consequences for mistakes. And you guys it rests with you, Gardner and Brandon King, as to what, after all this is investigated, what you guys decide to do. Okay, Juanita Gotti, go ahead.
Yes, I have a problem with some of our officers, because we have some good officers here, but the training that they had when this young boy actually got shot, they wasn't moving fast enough. It was an officer that was doing more of the talking and more of a performance of an officer of concern. I know we all is concerned when it's something like this happen, but this officer, and I have to give him his props, was the only one actually doing something. And then the other ones were standing around watching, and then there wasn't no CPR taking place. If you're doing training of anything, all officers, all nurses, fire department, forever coming to see about this young boy. And when they did come, they were slowpoke. And then this officer had to step up again and told them to put a move on, And then I still have a problem. Why was they chasing this young man license plates anyway? What made them chase him, and what made them run the plates?
I mean, again, are you asking me, Madam Councilman, on that?
Why did you run the plate the first place?
The vehicle was actually, again, the officers were on a Hayden, the vehicle was sped by at a high rate of speed in excess of 25. They actually saw the vehicle and actually thought it was a vehicle that had ran from Officer Johnson on a previous occasion. I mean, by all accounts, again, this vehicle's been stolen since October. So obviously they've just been switching plates on this vehicle and been carrying it around since October.
This is why we want because you running plates and you thought that it was a person that y'all thought that fit that description. It wasn't, So, and another thing, handling the body camera, I am very, very upset because at the time when I was telling our mayor to keep the body and make sure that McDonald have a body camera on of all time, he told me that was going to take place for him to turn off the body camera. And then y'all telling us that this young man has spoken some words that we ain't never heard yet, because I'm still looking for the words to come out of this young man's mouth. I have a problem with that. To have the young man on the ground and it's cold outside, and you could have just kept the shirt on if y'all wasn't gonna do nothing. You didn't have nothing to wrap him back up with. You couldn't plug him when he was bleeding, so you didn't have no right to even touch him, because you wasn't doing nothing anyway. And that shows me the training that y'all had. Y'all not trained.
Councilor Martin, is it my turn yet?
Again, Madam Councilwoman, the officers did and exercised their training correctly. There was no cause for CPR at that point because there was a heart rate and there was breathing. These are the two things that we look for to perform CPR. There was no reason to perform CPR. You can actually get someone's heart rate and rhythm by performing CPR when it's not needed. So these officers actually acted in accordance with CPR training. They were rendering first aid. We attempted to find out where their wounds were. Officers were in performance of CPR. Relative to the body cameras themselves, they're not physically able to stay on the entire shift. The cameras do not last that long. The batteries do not last that long. The storage does not last that long. We cannot have recording 24/7 when the officers are out. There's also constitutional rights to privacy, not only of the officer, but of citizens that do not wish to be recorded. These are all factors that are in consideration with the body cameras. And again, I find it somewhat upsetting that these officers are in this life and death situation with this male, and that we are Monday morning quarterbacking these officers. These officers had a gun pointed at them. Okay, this male has previously shot at people, so he obviously has the intent, does not care about anybody's life. And I find it insulting from council to be questioning these officers when they're in a life and death situation. They made a judgment call that I myself probably would have made. And I find it extremely appalling that council would be questioning these officers merely because there was an accidental turning off of the body cam. Police have been intentional.
I'm going to intercede here.
Yeah.
Is this an unfortunate situation? If the body cam would have been kept on, it would have made all the difference in the world.
There you go.
I didn't know that there were 3 shots fired. I learned that today.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, was he the only one in the vehicle, or were there other people with him and they got away? Chief Gardner, was other people in that vehicle? And
Yes,
it got out of the vehicle.
there were 2 other occupants of the vehicle. One we have later identified as Sky Love, and the third male was supposed to turn himself in today. Did he turn himself in, Captain? Tomorrow. The third male will be turning himself in tomorrow.
Okay, we're going to close. I'm going to hear from Willie Hemmons on the. Wait a minute. Before Willie Hemmons, wait a minute, Austin. Is Mayor Brandon King here?
Yeah, that's
Mayor is Brandon King.
Yeah, you saw it.
Brandon King.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got, do you have anything to say about this situation? You the mayor.
Somebody called the mayor. Yes.
Yes, I want you to do what you have to say.
Yes, it is unfortunate. I would once again ask that we keep the family of the young man in prayer and that we keep the officer involved and all the officers there in prayer. As I understand, Officer McDonald, who is an exceptional police officer, was very shaken up behind this. So I ask that we keep him in prayer. And I've said this numerous times before. As elected officials, we have to hold ourselves above the fray. So it is up to us to be responsible to find out information before we run and just start giving out inaccurate information. And I think there was a lot of that here as we go from rocket scientist to chief investigator, detective to, listen, let's all continue to work together. We are all on the same team.
Well, I think that's the case, and that's why it's good that we had this dialogue. I think we all learned something. I think Gardner's learned something. The council learned something. It's important that if we have things in place, that we try to implement them. I'm going to have Ms. Hemmons have the final say, and then we're going to move on and get out of this agenda for the next 15 minutes. Willa Hemmons.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor Martin.
All right.
First of all, I must strenuously disagree with you when you said that you were young and stupid. Remember, I was there. I knew you. You used to, when I was a professor at Cleveland State, you always used to come to my office and hang out, and you had and you would never have engaged in any kind of detrimental behavior. You were conscientious. You had a lot of sense. You exercised good judgment. So I have to say that when you were a young person, you never would have gotten yourself into such a compromising situation that took your life. Now, going on, I want to remind everyone that there will be an independent investigation. A special prosecutor will be appointed in order to review the situation. This is not the end all and be all of any kind of investigation or conclusions. There will be probably a 2-3 day hearing, so it won't be resolved in 20 or 30 minutes like in this situation. So I want us to be patient. I want us to reserve our judgments until the facts and the circumstances of the situation are thoroughly investigated. And with the special prosecutor and the hearing, there will be a comprehensive approach in order to listen to all the witnesses, look at all the evidence, and find out what justice will ultimately require. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on. Thank you, Willa Hemmons. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anybody from the fire department here? Anyone from the fire department?
Yes, I'm present.
Okay, who are you, sir?
Deputy Chief Clark.
Okay, there's one question that has to be asked, Deputy Chief Clark. We were there, 3 of us were there.
Yeah.
And we was wondering why it took so long for the fire to respond to the situation. We put in here 10 minutes, but it actually, to be fair, it was longer than that, but we put 10 minutes, but we was wondering why it took the fire department so long to respond. Do you have anything to say about that, sir?
Unfortunately, I cannot comment on this matter because I wasn't presented with any item to discuss for this meeting. We can get back to you to tell you what the exact time we received the call was, what time we were dispatched by dispatch, and what time we arrived on scene. However, unfortunately, as I said at this time, as not being presented with this material in advance, I cannot answer your question.
All right, then what I need from you, Officer Clark, Commander Clark, is I need an email from you as to why it took so long when you can get up to almost any place in the city in 5 minutes, because we're only 3 miles, why it took so long for them to respond to a situation like that, a life or death situation? We're sitting there. We were there. This ain't something we saw on TV, wondering why it was taking so long. So would you be respectful to respond to me by email so I can share that with my colleagues as to why it took so long for them to respond? Please.
Sure, I have no problem with that, sir.
Now, the other thing is, can you give us an update of what's going on with fire? What's our staffing looking like? Anything that we need to know is going on with fire, right? We're ordering new trucks and everything for our fire department. And just to go a little bit further, our police have brand new vehicles, good vehicles. We're taking care of our safety forces. Okay, we're looking out for them in this poor city. Okay, so anything that we need to know is going on with the fire. Where's Mike Salika at this evening, by the way?
I am not aware of where the chief is at this time.
I'll ask the mayor, because it seems like every time we have a meeting, Mike Salika is never around. Okay? Okay, so I'll address that question to the mayor. But anything that we need to know, sir, you hear anything you can share what's going on with the fire?
We do have a question in regards to kind of one of your statements you made regarding the apparatus.
Yes.
We understand that it has been approved or has passed a resolution in regards to the pumper, but we need to get back to the manufacturer of it, and there are some deadlines involved in those possible purchases. And we want to know if there has been a plan to fund those items, and when that might take place.
Okay, well, we the vehicles that the mayor has brought before the council, almost everything fire and police, we've approved. So whatever we need to do, we'll do our part.
Mr. Martin, that's not correct.
Okay, for the most part, all right? For the most part, okay?
That's right.
Nothing's absolute, Corrine Stevenson, all right?
No, what I'm saying to you is that there's stuff that has not been approved, period.
Oh, that they purchased? Is that what you're saying?
That they purchased and that they plan to purchase.
Well, we need to deal with that, Council President. We need to deal with that.
Well, that's why we were in the Finance Committee earlier, and that's why we're coming back on Thursday.
Okay, and we'll deal with that. I appreciate what you had to say. Commander Clark?
Yes, sir.
Anything else you need to share with us?
Nothing unless you have a question.
Okay, you need to know this before you go. And I think we've talked before. We profoundly support our police and fire.
That's right.
We do.
Yeah.
The police and fire, for the record, take half the budget. Okay. All citizens need to feel safe and need to know that if there's a fire, that we're going to be responded to in a timely manner. So we're not against the police. We're not against the fire. But when situations like the situation with Belmonte would come up, it makes us we have to check it to make sure we get it right. After the law director talked about after the investigation is over and the determination is made, hopefully we'll be wiser and keep moving forward. So I want to thank you, Commander Clark, for taking your time. Please get that to me about that particular date and time when that situation happened. And I need to say this because it's true. We were riding down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, Anita Gowdy, and Justin Anderson, and we saw the smoke, and we turned and saw we were there. So we stayed there for 20 minutes, and we're looking. And I'm saying this with humility. We're saying, why is it taking so long for some from fire to get here? Okay. All right. So if you need to share that with Salika, we need to know why. Okay. So I need to say this. Last year I worked at University Hospital, and I used to see our people come down there on a regular basis, coming in there and take care of. I used to see McDonald come in there. I see he saw me in there. He didn't know I was working there, but I saw him. Okay, so I see good work coming from our fire and good work coming from our police. So when we have a snag, we got to take care of it, and we will. Nobody's out to get nobody here. That's why I'm taking control of this meeting. We just want to make sure that things are fair and just. So thank you, Commander Clark. We're going to move on. Chief Gardner. Chief
Yes, sir.
Gardner.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to the gun buyback now. Okay. Kind of tell us what's going on with that. We've been tweaking that. One thing I need to say to you before you respond is I think if we can get the flyers in our police officers' hand and pass them out, I think it would step this thing up. The billboards, I've been looking at some of the billboards, and I thought we were supposed to have them all over. Right down the street here, I don't see the one right here near this cleaners across from the Windermere. I don't see any there, but I'm reaching out to you to see if we can put together a flyer, working with our clerks, so that we can get this out. So we donated $2,000-3,000 from the council toward the gun buyback program, and I know there's guns out there that people to turn in for $100 to $150. So we got to step it up. So I wanted to say that before you basically update us on what's going on with the gun buyback program. And thanking you and the police officers, we worked on this thing for 3 or 4 months. 3 or 4 months we worked on this. So go ahead, Chief Gardner.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Martin. The flyer, or the photo that I think the Madam Deputy Clerk has up, that is the flyer that we have out, that we are handing out. I believe my executive assistant just told me today that we actually had some interest. Two interested parties are making reservations to turn their firearms in. So we are starting to get some positive momentum on this.
Okay, well, that's what we need, but can we get your help? Your officers who are out there with their lives on the line, out there all the time, they're interacting with the public. I think if they have flyers to give to some of these people, I think these guns will start coming in here the way we know that they're going to come, and they're going to come in here. Okay, so I'm asking. I'm going to reach out to you and my clerks. See if we can get a flyer. If you don't have a flyer, that we can give these people, letting them know that if they see a gun or know where a gun is, and turn it in for $100 or a rifle for $150. Okay, and with it being a new year, we may put more money in there if we need to go up to $150 or $200 on a gun. If that maybe be what we may need to do. Okay, but the whole thing is, it's a win-win situation to get them guns off the street. Any gun we get off the street means I'm safe, you safe, our police officers are safe. That's the whole purpose of it. It's a win-win situation, and we had total cooperation from everybody. So we just got to step it up, okay?
It sounds good to me, Councilman Martin. As a matter of fact, I'll have, not only will we get some flyers out to the officers, we'll actually try to see if we can get the COP to drop them off in a couple of the high travel businesses.
Okay. I want to go to the next agenda item, which is it says general updates regarding health and safety issues. The police have new vehicles basically purchased through the council. It all comes through the council. We're ordering a new truck and getting new equipment for our fire. So in this 3.1 miles, we take care of our police and we take care of our fire, okay? And it's important. So safety is an issue. So when I walked in today, I looked at our vehicles, and we have nice vehicles with nice striping on it and all that, branding team, nice vehicles. So we should be proud of that, and we are. And we're proud. And the police been to my house twice last week because the alarm went off. Okay, and they were respectful, and I felt safe. So we feel good about our police and our fire, okay? But we're going to step up this gun buyback program because it's a win-win situation for everybody, okay? Let's move on. General updates regarding health and safety. I'll say this, and then I'll yield to my other people on the committee. We support wholeheartedly our safety forces. Okay, nobody's perfect out here. Everybody makes mistakes. Okay, but we want to make sure if we have anything to do with it, they have the best cars, they have the best equipment, they have the best body cams, they have the best whatever they have to do their job. Okay, and we all are on page with that. Okay, so let no one say that the council is against this person, the council against. That's not true. We support our safety forces. Okay, people have to feel safe. People want to be respond when there's a fire. And we have a good fire department and we have a good police department. That's what I want to update. So I need to get the information from Commander Clark on that, why it took so long in that particular situation, and anything going on with our police that needs to be shared with this committee, anything going on with the fire, etc. Period. And thank the mayor, okay, because the mayor has been ordered. It goes out and connect this money for us to get the stuff we. So thank you, Brandy team, for your leadership in that area. So now we're gonna have one comment from God, and then we're gonna remark to the public. Go ahead.
Yes, just like you said, Councilor Martin, we do not have nothing against our police officers, but when they take off the body camera, we have a problem with that, and that became an issue. Now, I have heard many a times about McDonald, and McDonald should have had a body camera on when he first got hired. And if it was somebody else, I would have thought a second thought, but McDonald should have had a body camera on 24 hours a day, 7 days out. If he out there in these streets doing duties for our citizens, because I do love our police, but McDonald, he's been terrorizing our city from the people that I've been talking to, and I believe that it's a problem. And if he had his body camera on, we would have seen more information than what we really got. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Councilman Austin, anything you have to say? We're going to be concluding. Anything?
Yes, I do. Yes, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I want to say that, as we as a city experience this trauma that recently took place, I ask that we start looking at our young folks and trying to inspire them so they can make better decisions going forward. It is imperative that we get involved before they get into these types of situations. So if you are indeed a senior, take a little bit more time and talk to some of the young folks in our community. So thank you for looking into this and getting us a little bit more of the facts. That's been very beneficial to me, and I do appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Corrine Stevenson, anything you have to say?
She's not here.
Okay, so maybe she's not there. So we're gonna go to the public. I need to say this, that Chief Gardner, thank you for the video. It was helpful. Thank you for being patient and answering our questions. Nobody's out to get anybody here. So tell them to get that straight. Okay, we're here to support our police and our fire. Okay. So
Councilman Martin, I had a comment. I got my hand up.
Yeah, Justin Anderson of Terrace Road.
Councilman Martin, I had a comment. I had my hand up. I was just wondering if I could get a comment in.
Briefly,
Can't hear me?
how most of the officers in our department are really fine officers. Most of them are really good. And the video that I seen that the news people sent to me There was one officer who deserves an award
Yeah.
for his action that he took, and he was trying to save this kid, and he was moving fast. He even had to tell the fire department, you know, move faster, move far and faster. What the hell is going on? And don't, excuse my language, but those are the type of officers that we need in this city. I think that from what I seen from what the news sent me, I think that the detectives were pretty good. You know, they acted accordingly. They were professional. So me personally, I'm not saying that the full department is out of control. I see a big difference. I'm not saying Scott Gardner's an angel or a hero, but I do see a difference in the department. But because Cardilli just didn't care, and he wasn't even transparent. At least the public got to see the video, and I believe the public is, we thank him for releasing those videos. If there's nothing to hide, he released the videos. Now, why Officer McDonald turned off the body cam, that's another story. If this was another officer, we might say, you know, well, maybe it did. He did make a mistake and turn it off because he thought he was turning it on. But by it being McDonald, you just can't give him the benefit of the doubt. When he let that girl out of jail, he was should have been fired, but he was promoted. And then when he just was on the news for trying to steal drug evidence, thank you, Taylor, and he was also reassigned to sergeant. And when it comes to the trust, Councilman Austin, I appreciate what you said about young people trying to you know, take them under their wing or whatever. But I can guarantee you, but if the mayor chooses to keep McDonald, if this comes back justified or whatever, he will never have trust with the young people in this police department. He will never have trust. There will never be trust. And right now, McDonald should be fired just from turning off the body cam. But he's not. He hasn't been suspended without pay or anything like that. And the mayor's going to be held accountable for that. His election is this year, and you know I'm not going to let it go. You all have a nice day.
Okay, former Councilman O'Mays, go ahead.
I'm not totally cognizant of the young man's behavior, but one thing I can say for him in his defense, when we had the promotion of giving away bikes, he bought one and gave it to the library to give out to the people. So he can't be all bad. We all make mistakes. So I don't know him personally or anything of that nature, but I do know that he did contribute to the bikes given young people. So sometime we need to stop and cogitate before we begin to castigate others when things happen of this nature. We must keep a level head, because by the grace of God, there go I. This could have happened to anyone.
The mayor want to speak, Nate.
There have been many people that has been lives has been taken by the police and not doing anything. And I'm not accusing anyone, whatever. We all have a job to perform, and we must perform it well to stay there. So I just wanted to say that for the young man, that he did contribute something in the bikes giveaway, and that's irrefutable. I have that coming from the director as well of the library, that he did do that. So I just hope that this council will do their due diligence in reference to the budget, etc. And as I said before, and I will say it again because I think it does allow me to jitter again. All money that come into the city must come through council to be authorized to accept it, etc. Yes, the money coming from various agencies, such as federal government, some of it is earmarked as to what it can be spent on and how it to be spent. And if you do not spend it on those things, and I have witnessed people going to jail as a result of spending monies that was not allocated or whatever. And this way it keeps everybody safe and protected, because when you get money in, and the council doesn't authorize you to accept it, et
It's
cetera.
been 3 minutes, Mr. O'Mays.
Come on, wrap it up, O'Mays. You gotta wrap it up. Go ahead.
As I was saying before I was interrupted, that this way, council know what's going on. They don't have to second guess, are you doing something wrong or this, that, or the other. So I'm just asking that from this point forward, that is the norm, that all money that comes into the city must come to council, and council authorize them to accept the money, whether it's coming from the federal government or from the state or county or from any person that's donated.
Thank you, O'Mays. Mayor Brandon King. Mayor Brandon
No, I have
King.
a comment also.
Who is that?
This mayor, a resident now, Mary has
Okay.
she raised her hand.
I can't see her from here, but go ahead, Mary.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Councilman Martin. I just
Okay.
have a very brief comment regarding what you said about the gun buyback program.
Okay.
As someone who has been affected by gun violence and have seen it for many, many years, I am so pleased that East Cleveland is doing the gun buyback program. However, you had mentioned about flyers. I would really love to see a heightened publicity campaign regarding the gun buyback, to include such platforms as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Glimmer, and on the websites and as many places as possible electronically, because that's how you reach young people. Thank you so very much, Mr. Martin, for
Okay,
allowing me to share my comments.
Dr. Rice,
Yes.
I'm going to have you talk with our clerk and we see if we can bring that about, okay?
Thank you so very much.
And thank you for being a part of the meeting. No further comments. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Okay.
That was the most disrespectful.
Wait a minute. Brandon,
You still have a few. You have Mr. Irby and you had the mayor.
Oh, okay. I can't see it over here on my screen. Okay, so Mr. Irby and then the mayor, and then we're going to adjourn. Mr. Irby and then Mayor Brandon King.
As I speak, I really see the clarity and laughter. I really don't. A young man has lost his life. He's away from his family. You have an officer that's been ran up and down the street name-wise. If he's not a great officer, good officer, he should have been removed. To headhunt an officer with no care of anything. And like I said, I've just heard O'May speak on this officer. I've seen him actually do some great things for the city. But as for, like I said, let's get through the investigation first before you holding him accountable, even though some of those who have problems with him is holding a personal grudge. I thought I was going to be quiet about the situation, but now I don't think I should be, because like they said, let's get all the facts first. Let's get them first, because every time you laughing about it means it's still personal. And go ahead, Mr. Mayor, because I'm done.
You have the last remarks and then we're going to adjourn. Go ahead, sir. Honorable Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. So I wanted to go back some to elaborate on what the fireman, the commander, was trying to get at. So we have the FEMA grant. We have the pumper, the EMS, that master lease that you guys passed back in December. So all of that is on the table. However, the temporary appropriations that was put forth by your council president has defunded all of that. So it is in jeopardy, the FEMA grant, and the suppliers of the vehicles keep calling us like, hey, we can't hold these prices much longer. So we're in jeopardy of price hikes and of not fulfilling the FEMA grant. The FEMA grant, we have to outlay, I think it's somewhere around $1 million, and then it has to come back from FEMA. So without having that money appropriated, we can't, as you so eloquently put it, Councilman Martin, support our safety forces to the fullest. So I would urge council as a whole to pass the permanent appropriations. Thank you.
Thursday, and I appreciate your remarks. So I'm reaching out to you, Honorable Mayor Brandon King, and I think Corrine has left. I think she had another meeting. We meet Thursday to go back over this. So maybe we can reach some common ground Thursday, but you guys need to talk, okay, so we can get through this, all right? So thank you for your remarks. Thank you. Tracy Peters,
Yes, sir.
this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
What time? You want to call the time?
Yeah, it looked like it's 7:48. 7:48.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
$7.49.
It's 7:49.
All right.
7:49.